something you brought up that you've brought up multiple times in the interview here, actually, you've talked about, a lot of these tracks on this album. You talked about collaborations as far as writing the
Mm.
songs. And I think that, in the old days, I hate to say this, the old days, but like you always had bands that really did well, always collaborated with somebody. So like one of the more famous songwriters or guys that people would collaborate with would be like a Desmond Child, right?
Hmm.
And you brought that up, that you had a lot of collaborations with a lot of different people. Do you feel that that's something that's been lost? Because I don't see as much of that now as you would have seen 40 years ago.
I think it's lost out of a few reasons. One of them being number one, financial. A lot of these hit writers, they expect quite a bit from you if they're going to collaborate. There just isn't the money. The industry is pretty much dead. So you find a lot of these guys who are pretty good players, but not good songwriters. I'm an okay songwriter, at best. I still haven't written that song yet. That
Yeah.
drives me absolutely nuts. It's there somewhere, but I think collaborating with other people, especially as a singer, as I said earlier, behind the glass, when that guy's recording me, he's looking in my eyes and feeling it. That I know that I wrote that song with. He's going, that's how I heard it to be sang. You're nailing it, Reece. Let's try just a twist here. Let's not punch in. Let's re-sing it again. Let's listen to the 3 times you ran through it. That's the best take. Some songs I get in one take on this record.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the energy like I'm headed for.
Yeah.
Mario and I had recorded Love and War one night. Then I recorded I Never Meant To, which happens to be one of my favorites, which I'm hoping will be a radio crossover on like Sirius or something like that. It was written about my daughters after a terrible divorce and missing my kids and the poison that happens in the family unit. But
Yeah.
I had sang I Never Meant To, which when you do a ballad, it's pretty exhausting to really emotionally perform it the way you feel it. And after I finished that, he looked at me, he goes, let's do I'm Headed For. I said, my voice is trash, dude. He goes, perfect. Nail it.
Yeah.
I said, I can't sing. He said, yes, you can. And I needed that coach. And I went in there and I'm Headed For. I did it in 1.5 takes. That happens to be one of my strongest songs on the record, and especially live. People are going cuckoo over that song. But I thought, man, I sound terrible. He goes, no, man, listen to it when it's blended. It's rock and roll. That's the bluesy, raspy, dirty Dave that people expect.
Yeah.
Bingo. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, and like I said, I think that some bands, I know bands that have 5 guys that are great songwriters, but not every band has that. So like when you go back and listen to some of these hard rock albums, you'll look and see you had a couple guys in the band that were credited, but then you have an outside guy that would come in, a couple outside people that would come in and co-write the song. And I think
the first BC album, I mean, I got Steve Plunkett came in, the record company directed.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm the bass player from Styx. I just lost his name for some reason. He's been in Styx for 30 years. Loaded Gun. I absolutely hated the song, but I listened to it, and the record company said, that's a hit song. Sing it. Give it Dave. And then doing the dance, my personal assistant manager said, Bon Jovi's down at AM Records doing the Young Guns soundtrack. Him and Aldo, he's trying to rebuild Aldo Nova's career because Aldo was so instrumental in Bon Jovi's first record. Go down there and hang out with those guys. They say they got a couple of tracks. And I'm like, cool, I get to meet John Bon Jovi. Not really thinking clearly. Walked in, John looked like he was deaf because he was working so hard. And that was a huge record, Blaze of Glory and all that was on it. And they presented, it was called Dance of the Dead originally. I said, I hear Queen in that. And, Extreme was kind of happening at that time. And I said, I could put something to that. And they go, take it. Can't hurt to have a Bon Jovi Aldo Nova track in it, right? Publicity-wise.
Yeah.
So And, there's a lot to talk about in the media. I see you got a Bon Jovi song in here. Well, yeah, I mean, why not? But Diane Warren, Desmond, all of those people were the hot topic, especially like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Diane wrote some amazing songs for Heart, Alone, great songs, fitted perfectly for Heart. And, bands run out of gas too, even if they didn't have outside writers. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I Want to Know What Love Is. I mean, how many people could write that kind of song 100 times in their life? Mick Jones. I mean, you run out of gas. Journey, they had a run that's unbelievable for 10 years. But then, in my opinion, they're kind of a nostalgic act just playing those songs. And all their new material, and then a band like Steely Dan. God, are you kidding me? I mean, you listen to each record and you look at the people on the album, and every song has a different musician. Fagan would say, Freddie's perfect for drums for this. No, we need Steve Gadd on that track. We need Pecoro on this.
Yeah.
And they would record for 7 years before they released a record. They had the luxury of doing that. But what they came out with using Michael McDonald and all those guys, Skunk Baxter and all these people, that's not stupid. That's making the song, giving the song what it needs, that injection. But you have to have those two guys sitting behind the board that have written it going, nah, I hear it how it should be.
Yeah. No,
they did it on their own.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like I said, I think it's something that's been lost. Hey, it's Tony here from the Metal Command Show. I want to thank you for watching this portion of the program. Since 1998, I have hosted the show, which started off as a radio program and is now into the podcast format. So I want to thank you for watching and or listening. And if you want to support the program, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell to be notified anytime I do post any content. A lot of you have been supporting the show and really, really helping this show grow, and I cannot do it without all of you. So with that said, thanks for watching. Stay metal.